everybody, and welcome to the stream scene. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week as we have a really exciting week for you guys. We are covering moderation, all about moderation this week.
In depth.
Yeah, we've got stream scene today talking about it. We have the launch of our new show called Behind the Stream with WesCisa, who is one of our guests today. And we also, I believe, are covering it on Hotfix as well. We're covering moderation as a more general platform-focused discussion. So how is Twitch doing with moderation? How does it compare to other platforms? So that's basically the focus of this week. So to get us started, I'd like to say hello to my wonderful co-host, the Hunter Wild. How's it going, Hunter? How you doing?
It's so good now that we have you back. We missed you so much last week. Loco. Happy birthday! Happy belated birthday.
Don't start this.
It's not. No. Happy belated birthday.
You already started it. It's too late. It's all over for me today.
Oh, it was fantastic. I'm super jazzed up today. Maybe a little too jazzed up, which is surprising with the lack of coffee. But I'm ready for. I've got like a full hot thermos, even a Twitch. It's a Twitch thermos. Full of coffee for today's moderation show, because it deserves a lot of energy. It deserves a lot of energy because nobody knows how intense modding is as much as the mods do. Fortunately, we have two incredible mods with us today for the show to lay it all out for us, to give us all the details. If you two wouldn't mind introducing yourselves, Wes and Johnny. Wes, we'll start with you. Who are you? What do you do in terms of modding? Give us a brief rundown.
All right, so I am WesCisa. I've been moderating on Twitch for, I guess, probably something like 4 or 5 years. Started with some smaller streamers who are actually kind of big now, but eventually moved into moderating for my current lineup, which is Loco, Lucid, and Streamer Square are the main ones that I mod for now. I do have a show starting tomorrow on moderation because I do a lot more than just swing band hammers in chat. So we definitely want to talk about a lot of that good stuff. And yeah, other than that, I have a cat that I love, but doesn't really, she's kind of iffy on me.
That's relatable.
That's me. That's WesCisa.
All right, Johnny, what about you?
I'm Johnny. My name's ImStillJohnny on Twitch. I've been moderating for about 3 years now. I don't even know how many channels I mod for anymore. It's around 20.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And I do a lot of volunteer events as well. So I've done like the 12 days in Indie charity event, the Scare-a-thon, things like that are on the front page. I help volunteer for a lot of those things.
Moderating for the events too. Yeah, that's cool. That's interesting.
Yeah,
it's a very different experience than just channel moderating.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't have any idea how that works.
Yeah.
But I think to get started, I'd like to start with the basics. So, how did you guys fall into this? Like, how did you guys? First of all, I guess did you set out to become mods for people? Was this something that kind of took you by surprise? What was your experience like filling this role of being a moderator for content creators?
Johnny, why don't you tell your story?
Sure. So for me, it was just purely by accident. One of my friends I was watching had a couple trolls come in and were making kind of a scene, as they do, and they just DM'd me over Twitch and said, "Hey, do you mind if I give you a sword real quick so I can just focus on streaming?" And that was the first time I had a sword, and it kind of slowly grew from there after people saw that I had a sword in that channel, and kind of the trust kind of grew from there.
So you didn't ask for mod, because I heard that works really well when you go into a channel and just ask to become a moderator.
Yeah, somehow I've never seen that work.
You know, people say that, but actually, it definitely has the potential to work if you're a long-time member of a channel. And sometimes the streamer won't realize that you are even interested until you actually step up. Like I'm pretty sure I've had a couple of mods become mods because they're like, "Hey, you need extra help?" And I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah, actually.
Wow. I had no idea you wanted to do that. So yeah, obviously don't just ask to be a mod straight up. But if you're a long time viewer, it really, I don't think hurts if you're like a regular with that streamer?
Privately, the conversation, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of how I actually started moderating for Streamer Square because it was before I was a mod for you and you were just like, hey, does anyone in here want to mod for me? I don't have any mods here today. And I was just like, hey, and you're like, oh yeah, you're here all the time. Let's give you a mod.
And
that's how I first became a mod on Streamer Square. But as far as my whole story, I started because I wanted to stream. And a long time ago, and a few times in between, just for whatever. Yeah, I used to stream, and I kind of realized that I don't know whether like anxiety and also just not enjoying it that much. I was like, I need to be in this industry, and I need to be connected with streaming because I absolutely love it. It's my passion, but I don't need to be the guy on camera. I just need to be a part of this industry and help out whoever, wherever I can. And so I started modding for a few channels of friends and people in the same game community that I was previously streaming in. And it's just completely grown from there. And yeah, I've come through a lot.
Respectable approach, the recognition of I don't need to be the one on camera, right? Because it's so easy for so many of us to Carly, hi. For so many of us to get caught up in the easy and obvious trappings of the chase for fame and whatnot, when it's entirely possible that we're better suited to really be in that amazing and indispensable role. Like literally nobody who streams can have a successful stream without having quality moderators, like indispensable.
Yeah. And I think that realization that more people are having where there are other roles to fulfill in the realm of the ecosystem of content creation.
Oh, that's a good word for that.
Thanks.
Yes.
Has lent to some really, really cool roles, like not even like outside of moderation or from moderation, like community management, which is being mentioned in chat, like, you know, and just video editing and, you know, just event planning, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it definitely is a unique role to become a moderator. That's all I had. I know it sounded like I was going to say more, but
that was good though. That was good though, and it does recognize the very real thing that, like, you know, maybe even a couple years ago, being a moderator wasn't something that like anybody wanted to do. Nobody aspired to be like a moderator, but I talk to more and more people, I feel like, who are like, no, I just want to be a really good moderator. And I think that, you know, it might be part due to like Twitch's explosion and you realizing that people like Ninja probably pay some of their employees, and maybe there's like a little, I don't want to say selfish, but maybe they want to do it for their own reasons. Maybe they want to be a mod for Ninja and make money. I don't know, but I definitely have talked to more people, I feel like, that are not just like, oh, I mod because it's my friend. They're like, no, I want to mod. It's something I'm passionate about, which is very cool to see. And like you said, it's all part of that like evolving ecosystem of content creation that we're kind of witnessing flesh itself out right now.
So, I saw a little bit of that with the Miller Lite things at TwitchCon last year. They featured a lot of moderators doing there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the mod's finally getting some recognition.
Yeah, what did they do for us?
Well,
I seem to not have gotten any free beer that I recall.
It's not White Claws, Wes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, then I'd actually be filing complaints.
So, I guess like, how did you guys? So, Wes, you said like you like wanted to become a moderator. How would someone go about becoming a moderator for a channel? Like, where do you even start with that idea? Do you try to find a channel that you fit into? Do you like, because what if you only watch like, you know, Summit or someone, but you kind of have this interest? Like, how do you even go about this journey?
I would say the way that I started ended up being actually very beneficial to me being a helpful mod, is that I had streamed before. So, you know, I know commands, I know how OBS works if you need some behind the scenes help. stuff like that. So me coming from trying to be a streamer and then deciding to be a mod, I already had a lot of tools that were really helpful for me. If you do want to be a mod in general, I would say start looking at stuff like Streamer Square articles. Honestly, you know, other than specific commands and how to time people out and how to ban people and just the general moderation stuff, you learn a whole lot about what a streamer is trying to do, why a mod is important, and what kind of culture and representation you should be having in a certain chat. And that's just general rules. And learning, kind of getting that viewpoint on, oh, if I were a streamer, this is what I would want a mod doing for me. And you can learn a lot that way. But then I would say if you want to be a mod for a specific channel, the only way you can do that is hanging out in that channel, learning the culture, donating thousands of subs. I'm just kidding.
No,
I was like, yeah. What?
No. You cannot
you
buy
won't
yourself.
be buying your way into modship in all likelihood.
You can't buy yourself a sword. Hang out, learn the culture. And then if you, like Loco said, if you get to a point where you can be like, hey, I'm a longtime viewer, do you need any help? Don't just pop into a new chat and say, can I be mod? Make sure, people there know who you are and you know the culture.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize how much work being a mod actually is. Like, and I can only speak for, my channel and how much like it actually entails to be a moderator, and that's why it's like such a process to become a mod on my channel. I want to hear from Johnny and Wes, like, how do you guys I guess like what things surprise you about being a mod when you became one?
Yeah, I know for me, like I mentioned, I started just to try and handle one situation, and then it kind of grew from there. And as it's grown, I've learned a lot more that it's not just about banning trolls. It kind of hinted at some of the community management type stuff. Even just being friends with your fellow mods and the streamer, it's very different than just being there to, click some buttons and chat, and that's all you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, the coming onto a mod team, it's a very different experience everywhere you go. There are some places that just threw me a sword while they were offline, and I came back and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm a mod now? I guess you trust me with stuff? And then there are places like Locos where, like I filled out an application and then I got interviewed and then there was an onboarding process. And that was really surprising, but also like comforting in a way. Like I definitely preferred having some kind of structure. And I would always recommend that you set up some type of onboarding or orientation, or even just like a 2-page, like, welcome to modding for WesCisa. Because
with that specific wording.
Yes. Because setting those expectations is a big thing, and a lot of places have very different requirements and very different expectations.
Yeah, it's true.
So yeah, it was very surprising at first to see how much went into modding for Loco, but then at the same time, it was really comforting, and I was glad to have that there. Like, I wouldn't want to go into a channel as big as hers with things like giveaways and we have a more family-friendly rules than most places. So I wouldn't want to go into a chat like Locos without that type of orientation. So it was a big surprise, but it was it's definitely needed, and more so the bigger you are or the more family-friendly you are.
Yeah, the more like intricate kind of to what you're saying. And it's interesting because, Johnny mentioned like it's more than just banning people, but even banning people can be very nuanced, because you'll find situations that are gray areas. And, when do you time out or purge, for a day, an hour, a week permanently? Like, where are those lines? Like, when did they get crossed? Like, I feel like documentation is the only way that structure gets passed on as you add new mods, because you're going to have turnover. Mods will always come in and out of your stream life. So it's so important to just have those situations and those specificities, detailed in a living document.
And because it can vary from stream to stream and culture to culture with that. There are some where the exact same type of behavior is banned no matter what. There are others where if somebody's new and unrecognized to the community, something can feel just off about a certain comment, where the exact same comment made by somebody who's been there for 4 years can be taken entirely differently. And that's gonna be a more encultured kind of a thing, where if you were a viewer for a long time and then became a mod, you can recognize that nuance, and it's not necessarily going to be something detailed in a document, but you need that documentation. I think it's valuable. Not necessarily need per se, but I think it's valuable to have it as an anchor for all of those qualities and attributes, and something that can really be that guiding force that everybody can constantly reference, instead of having to ask all the time, ask the streamer, like, if that's all right, or ask the other mods, which is great to do when needed, but the documentation is valuable. Speaking of documentation, what other stuff in that realm seems to be of value have you heard about, have you experienced, have you thought would be worthwhile? Things like non-disclosure agreements, things like even if you're not
like
being
a contract
paid,
or something.
yeah, like a contract. What sorts of things have y'all seen in that regard? Johnny, you got anything on that one?
I've never
really
had to,
curious.
Yeah, I've actually never had to sign one for any of the events that I've done. They're not quite big enough, I think, for that.
Okay.
I know some of the maybe like Games Done Quick, where there's hundreds of
really
thousands of
huge
viewers.
ones.
That would be
Yeah.
probably one where that would happen. Yeah, for me, I've never had one. I think as you get more and more viewers, and especially as you do bigger and bigger giveaways and things like that, it's probably more important than maybe some of the smaller ones where they're not quite doing hundreds of thousands of dollars in giveaways and charity. Well, I've never had to deal with it myself.
Okay.
I've never had to sign any contracts or NDAs, but I do have seen and am familiar with, and I think it works better in this situation, is just a general expectations. Because it is on a voluntary basis. I know a lot of people feel kind of intimidated or weirded out by any type of contract saying I have to do a certain amount. However,
sure.
It can be really important to set up boundaries for yourself in a way, so that you're not being nobody's taking advantage of you as the streamer. So that you can say, no, I do expect these things of you. If you can't do it, I am going to take your mod sword away. No hard feelings. And that's important because a lot of people tend to like hanging on to their mod swords. Like,
Yeah.
I've got so many mod swords in channels that I rarely go to, but I like having them. And I'm not like, I wouldn't have any problem if the streamers took them away, but there is a certain level of vanity to having a sword in chat, where if people can get by doing less than they need to, they will. And not saying that like it's all voluntary, it's all I'm helping you, so it's not like there can be certain expectations, like, but it's a good idea to put in place at least a general idea of, at this point you might not be a good fit for me anymore if you can't do these things. And it might just be like 2 streams a week, make it to the mod meetings once a month, it might be real light, or it might be a lot higher. And as the streamer, it's kind of your choice to choose how you enforce that. But having it there is like you did see the expectations, is kind of a good cover your ass kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. And it's not necessarily like a contract that you need, but yeah, maybe like having expectations is beneficial for both parties. Like
expectations and boundaries.
Right.
Both.
Like you want the mods, the incoming mods, to know what they're getting themselves into. Like that's why whenever I talk to someone about becoming a mod, I'm like, just so you know, it's a lot of work. Okay, I'm just gonna let you know it's a lot more than it seems. I try to give fair warning, because it can be overwhelming, and I want to make sure that people realize, yes, it's volunteer. I wish I could afford to pay my mods to do this as a job, but at the end of the day, it is volunteer. So setting some expectations that are reasonable for something that is of a volunteer position, but that like if you're volunteering to be a mod, you are committing to something. Like you need to do the thing that you're committing to do at the end of the day. So having that communication sorted between the mods and the streamers, and having it worked out where it's fair, and you're not like demanding your mods to slave away for you is important.
Well, and that's true in terms of like so just staying on topic with that documentation idea, or going back to it, I guess. If everybody is on the exact same page when that relationship is initiated, I think that's no matter where you set the standards, that's necessary. You can have ridiculously exorbitant, huge, crazy expectations for mods. And if you give them a document, if they know exactly what they're getting into and they're like, yeah, that actually sounds great to me, great, then you can hold them to that standard, right? Like if I sign up to something and I know what I'm getting into and you hold me that, I'm that great. If I can't do it, then I'm not, and I don't sign up. And if it turns out that I can't do it later on down the road, then we can like renegotiate that to some extent, right? Or, maybe I just don't do that job anymore. If you have that balance, I think that's a great way to start that relationship, knowing exactly what you're getting into and giving somebody else for their obligations.
I think that works well with someone like me too, who does more than they need to. I'm the type of person that's just going to keep working and supporting, and maybe going too far and, hey, that's my job, leave it alone type thing, or, crossing boundaries that I didn't know were there. So kind of keeping me in check from doing too much.
Mm-hmm. But because you also have, I feel like something that's not really talked about is burnout that happens with mods as well. And like 100%. Doing too much and take, like, especially because of what you have to deal with during the stream as well. Can you guys talk a little bit about that and your experience with, like, have you guys burnt out before, or, the mental health side of things?
Yeah, just kind of going along with what I was saying, sometimes I'll just keep working on things and focusing on helping and supporting and kind of ignore my own needs. And I've gotten to the point where I've burnt out on, I go to work, I work a full-time job, come home and mod until I go to bed, and just kind of don't take any of that personal time. And so kind of setting those boundaries for myself and then within the channels has kind of helped me combat that, because it can definitely get out of hand if you let it.
Yeah, I mean, burnout on moderating is the same as burnout anywhere. It can happen in your full-time job. I mean, I know that's one of the other tough things with moderators too, is that most of them are working a job as well, be it full-time or part-time. So every moment that they're modding is taking away from their other 8 hours,
school, which is a job with learning.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's very important to take the same types of breaks from this job that you would any other job, even if this isn't technically a job that you're getting paid for. You still need to treat it the exact same way. Make sure you take whatever time you need to. And actually, we are going to be going into mental health for moderators on our new show, Behind the Streams. It starts tomorrow. That's not what tomorrow's episode is, but it is on the list. We will be talking about moderators. And we're going to make at least one episode out of it, but I'm afraid we might not be able to get to all of it in one episode. So we'll see where that goes.
Probably is.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
And to answer what Endy's asking, because this is exactly what I wanted to talk about, is for the streamer side of things, realizing when your mod team is too short-staffed. And this could happen for a number of reasons. You're growing, maybe some mods had to step down or take a break, or maybe you just like introduced more features and stuff that have just, things can happen. It's always really good to have a conversation with your mods, ask them how they're doing, how they feel about, the coverage in chat, and make sure you have enough mods and make sure that one person isn't doing everything.
Can I drop a note in there about that?
No.
I'll take that as a yes.
No.
So one of the interesting qualities where that can come up too is single player games with spoilers. I've had many situations where mods have had to remove themselves from the chat for an entire playthrough because they were playing the same game, and I have way more hours in my day to play that game than they do. So I'm going at a faster pace. And I'm losing, 3 mods at a time because they're as amped as I am to play the game. Managing that, and there are other situations where similar types of things can occur and cause somebody to get removed from the situation, a mod that short staffs you, yeah.
Yeah. So, so I kind of want to ask, the mods this, like, what do you do, I guess, as a streamer when there aren't enough mods and let's say your channel's too small and so you don't feel like you have anyone you can bring up, or maybe there just isn't anyone that's standing out. Like, what are some things that streamers can do to try to find suitable mods for their channel?
I mean, I think we've probably all been in that spot where you are a small channel and you start to feel like you need mods. And I think the first question you need to, or the first thing you need to do is step back and ask yourself, why do I need mods? And what kind of mods do I need?
Sure.
A lot of times what you don't need a mod, you need a chat enthusiast. Or maybe you're getting trolled by the same person every other day making new accounts, so you need a mod that's just a ban hammer. I think kind of narrowing down, basically, like I think just narrowing down what you need can be very helpful in finding that mod in your community. And you can even ask, hey, look, I need someone to deal with this troll that keeps coming back. Anybody here want a mod? And obviously you're not just gonna like pick a name out of a hat.
Yeah, you get a sword, you get a sword.
You're gonna look for somebody that you see in chat all the time and you trust, and your consideration for who that mod would be is different than your consideration for like who your community management type mod would be.
Sure.
You want to be thinking about like, oh, am I choosing this person because they're always here? Or am I choosing this person because they interact with chat in a way that I think represents my channel best? So when you need mods, or you get to the point where you feel like you need mods, I always think that the first thing you do is just question why, figure that out, and kind of go from there.
Great point.
Yeah, and you also can think about if you need a ban hammer type mod, is there anything that can be done by a bot that can be automated, like managing links or bad words? Yeah, auto mod, stuff like that. Like, is there anything that can be streamlined with just some automation?
I think the more of that you can automate, the better. Much like with a lot of things, there is a limit, because obviously some things there's nuance and there's a human understanding that can only be human. But the more that you can automate, the better, to free up the attention of the mods themselves. Like if they don't have to, at least in my perspective, if they don't feel like they have to watch chat like a hawk for the banning, my assumption is that a lot of them are going to be more likely to just engage in conversation, and there's an attention shift that becomes not only more pleasant for most of them, some of them just love that banning quality for sure, actually, but it also becomes a lot more pleasant for the community too, and the streamer, I think. So trying to automate that is a smart move. I agree.
Yeah, I think that's helped kind of with my enjoyment sometimes, where I'm not just sitting there looking for every single bad word that's going to get deleted. It's more of I'm enjoying myself. That kind of helps with the burnout aspect too. I'm not just reading as a pretending to be a bot. The bot's doing it for me now.
Just a live bot. Yeah.
A lot of people don't take that in consideration when they want to go and mod for their favorite streamer. And I'll tell them, like, hey, are you ready for your favorite streamer to kind of feel like a job when you're watching it instead of the favorite part of your day? Because there are a lot of times when people are like, yeah, I love this community so much that I wanted to mod for it, and now I mod for it, and it's not fun anymore because I'm busy watching for trolls and stuff. And it's like, well, you have to take that into consideration. Do you want your fun place to turn into a semi-workplace?
Right. Especially with some of the stuff that you'll see that gets caught up in automod, because first of all, bless automod, because it is the number one like troll preventer. But like there are some terrible things that get stuck in automod that the mods have to all see and deal with, and it can be pretty gnarly.
Yeah, it's like that the job that people have where they have to like scroll through social media posts and decide what's inappropriate. And it's kind of like that, where you're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to see a lot lot of gross stuff now, aren't I?
Yeah, like official Facebook moderation, official
Yeah.
Discord moderation, stuff like that. Yeah, it's like the dark side of humanity.
Yeah, the turnover rates of those jobs are like really, really short too.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's got to be awful.
Hmm.
Yeah, like Twitch chat is definitely like no different. And one thing that Hunter you mentioned that I kind of want to talk about is the role of being a role model in the chat. And and when you're not banning swords, like it's actually a part of most mods' jobs to kind of drive conversation and make sure chat's flowing, questions are getting answered, commands are getting plugged when the streamer mentions like their Twitter. Like the mods are the ones that link it in chat when they shout someone out, welcoming new people, saying hi and bye. This is like chat is moderators are so important to keeping chat flowing and actually like driving conversation.
So the pun occurred to me and I can't escape it, so everybody has to join my suffering with
Here
this.
we go.
Putting the mod in role model.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I think it's 100% accurate, right? So like if you and actually like working it into like massaging it into the relationship that you have with mods and the mods have with you and then with the community is very important too, and how you manage to do that is vital. If you want cheers and tips and subs to be celebrated, your first stop should be the mods, right?
Mhm.
Like if you want that as a key part of your community, that's something you need to communicate to your mods. And that I assume also that mods need to keep an eye out for and pick up on if it hasn't been explicitly communicated, right? You can hear the streamer say a thing in certain circumstances and ascertain, although ideally it's communicated explicitly, ascertain whether or not that's something that is a desirable behavior for the community as a whole. And if that's true, as a mod, that's something that you would ideally be picking up and adding into your performance as a mod. The hellos, the goodbyes, the somebody just had a tough day at work, so you're the first one to spread the love. Somebody had a great thing happen, you're the first one to cheer them on. All of those sorts of things being the term that I've been using for the last year or so is exemplar. Being exemplar for behavior types, that role model. I think that's a perfect. It's a perfect something. I don't know what the word is on the other side of that. It's something.
I think going the other way too is you don't want your moderators driving people away by having
For sure.
too many inside jokes or anything right off the bat. You want them to be welcoming and not pushing people away or anything like that.
For sure. That's a really great point. Wes, how do you feel about being a role model of my channel?
Wait, am I a role model in your channel?
You are.
No.
You're a mod, so yeah.
No, I mean, I think it's absolutely true what Hunter was saying, where mods inspire and set the standard for behavior. Especially when he said like the hello goodbye seems like a very small thing, but if the mods are the ones setting that example and chat is picking up on that example, there is a reason that so many people come into Loco's chat and say, whoa, what a welcoming community.
I know.
It's not on accident. Like,
no,
she wants her mods to say hi to people and encourage that behavior. Sorry for spilling your industry secrets a lot.
Yeah, because I don't do that every week already on the show.
Right. But yeah, I mean, that's just setting that example. And you can do that with anything. If you say, hey, mods, let's get more hype when someone donates bits. I saw someone donate yesterday and nobody said hype or anything. And it's like, I want people to feel rewarded for giving something, even if it's just by other people in chat. So yeah, and I would absolutely 100% say, don't be afraid to communicate that to your mods, because there are a lot of streamers that I've modded for that want their community to change, but they don't start with the mods. And I'm like, well, you've got a mod who's a troll and an absolute jerk. I mean, if you want a nicer community, you should probably talk to that mod and say, hey, you're a role model here. Don't act like that.
Yeah. In my opinion, mods are just as, if not more responsible for shaping the culture of a channel honestly. Like,
I think it's
because
equal.
yeah, but it's also like I feel like especially as a bigger channel, the mods cover a lot more than you will. Like you will start to miss hellos and you will be late to saying, you know, thanking supporters because you're in the middle of a moment or a raid or something like that. And that's the mods, if they are in tune with what needs to be done, they will be the first people to welcome someone new in or explain the rules to someone or, you know, plug something in your channel before you even get the chance to say it.
Yeah, and as a viewer too, you do see the little green sword in chat, and there's kind of a difference in when you're listening to the streamer versus when you're reading text on the screen. You're gonna associate the green sword with the mods, and they're gonna stand out a little bit, just kind of like the audio does. So it's kind of a differentiator too, that you can physically see the mods and their text in chat.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Wow,
sorry.
3 at once.
I'm reading chat and there's so many great questions, but you guys can go ahead.
How do you feel about mod walls?
I mean, I feel like it depends on the size of your channel, whether it's like avoidable or not. Sometimes if you just have a small channel, but you have like a mod, like you might just have that mod talking more than anyone else, right? That's gonna happen. But I think I do feel like it's off-putting, and I would love to see responses from the viewers in chat how you feel when you see a mod wall, because I don't know why it just feels like it's like a little, it's like whoa, like there's a lot of mods around here. I didn't do anything, you know. I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes even for me going into a new channel, if I see 20 different mods in the viewer list and they're the only ones talking, it's a little intimidating. You almost don't want
It is intimidating.
say anything because you don't know if you're going to fit in or if it's there might be too many of them.
And the weird situation, the one that the quality that comes up for me the most here is, it's not like a God's Eye view where you get to choose there being a lot of non-mod chat or mod chat, and you're selecting like mod only chat, right? Like if no mods were talking, if that would equate to no conversation at all, I assume you'd rather have the mod wall than no chat.
Yeah.
But there's the weird thing too, right? Because the mod wall can also intimidate new people, or just even just like anybody. It can be an intimidating thing by itself, which then prohibits some people from coming out and having the conversation. So it's like this weird,
but also
weird quality.
If no one's talking, you also feel weird being the first person to talk.
Yeah.
So
just like, hey,
absolutely,
echo.
And as a streamer perspective, I'd rather have someone to vibe off, even if it's just a mod wall. I'd rather have someone to talk off rather than just me talking and hoping that's enough to get someone to start talking. You know?
Yep.
Kind of the earlier point, if you're gonna have the mods be focused on welcoming viewers in, if they say hi, even though there's a mod wall, if there's 7 or 8 mods saying hi, it might be a mod wall, but it's still a welcoming one. It's not.
It's a very welcoming wall. It's got arms out for hugs.
Yeah. That's kind of along the lines that I was gonna say is like the content of mod walls makes a huge difference.
The content.
If I see a mod wall and it's all the mods welcoming a new viewer, heck yeah, I feel great about that. I'm like, what's up? I'm part of the family now. Like, let's hang out. But if you are looking at a mod wall and it's like 25 inside jokes between the mods,
yes,
then you're just like,
I'm clearly not a part of this.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go.
I'm not a member of this community. That's exactly what that feels like.
So I think definitely the content. If only mods are talking, but they're relating it to the streamer's interacting, they're being friendly, they'll stop their conversation to welcome a new viewer. It's not the end of the world to have a mod wall, but yeah, there are some mod walls where you're just like, oh, it's just a mod wall, and they're all just spamming this emote that I don't understand. I'm out of here. This is weird.
Yeah, and to that, Clubhouse asks, this may seem like a bit of a leap of question, but then what about mods who lurk? Should they come out of lurk mode more often or never even lurk at all?
It depends on that whole role thing, right? Mm-hmm. Like if I have my super tech mod who only does like bot work and some GIFs and whatever, and helps me with audio. Like I don't need them to, right? They're performing a different thing. But the conversational one, I mean, you know, it's sort of the role you signed up for, sort of situation.
And it depends on, I think, maybe who else is there that day too. If, you know, the more
sure.
friendly community mods aren't there that day, you might have to step up and be more active in chat than you would be normally. But as long as, you know, you're not doing that every day and you're uncomfortable doing that, that's something you can adjust to.
Wes, you had a smirk.
What
was the smirk?
I got another chance to plug tomorrow's show.
No!
So
Yeah.
I was going to. We'll be talking a lot more about roles tomorrow. But just as a preface, one of the things that we're kind of talking about is just how it's totally fine if some of your mods only lurk for certain reasons. But that kind of goes back to, why are you looking for mods? Why did you hire certain mods? And building out a cohesive team that works together. Because you can have a banhammer mod who never talks, and you can also have your front door guy who greets everyone with a smile and an emote combo. And it's okay for that one person to lurk. You know, everybody's got their own set of things that and unless you've got one mod and then they need to do everything, but chances are if you've only got one mod, it's a small channel and they probably can. Go ahead.
And an interesting quality that I've noticed is one that I would also do myself, which is, you know, a lot of Eris, don't turn off my PC. A lot of the time, it's not going to be paying only attention to the stream and the chat, right? It's a little bit of mix and match. You know, maybe you're working on something else or also playing a game and glancing at, you know, whatever it happens to be in between turns of MTG. The context or the situation can determine how, as a mod, you choose to act, right? If there are 5 other mods in chat, maybe it's an opportunity for you to only be the banhammer mod, and you maybe you're not in a mode to converse. If you see that there are no other mods active in chat, maybe that's when you step into the mode of conversing, and it's like, okay, well, it's time for me to put away arena and do the other thing, because I'm the only one who can. So I'm going to be welcoming and I'm going to be conversing and you know, and laughing at Hunter's terrible jokes and make him feel like he's actually funny, and go through that whole the performance, because you're the only one who can be active at that time. So like taking a step back when you don't need to be at the front, taking a step forward when you do.
So how does that
be situational?
Yeah, so how does that get accomplished? Like, how do moderators communicate? What methods do you guys use to figure out who's available when, and to also discuss things like bannings and behind the scenes stuff?
It's a great one.
It's a big one. One thing that actually was recently introduced for us that has been immensely helpful, and I imagine it's immensely helpful for the streamer as well, is a daily mod check-in, as Carly just said in chat. Basically, one post in a moderator channel. We use a channel that does not change very frequently, so the post remains like visible for hours. And then we're just trolls, so we use different emotes to react to it, but it's green, yellow, or red on whether or not you'll be there all day, in and out, or not going to be there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
It's super helpful because I can sit there and be like, oh, we have only got like 2 mods who are definitely there today. I need to keep a closer eye. So I'm going to work from home today. And it's got to also be super helpful for the streamer, because the streamer can look and be like, oh, you know what? We've only had 2 full-time mods for a week. I need another moderator who's got better availability.
Yeah.
Go ahead. That was it for me.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to add on to this. So this is something we came up with just a few weeks ago. Because sometimes there are issues where, like, oh shoot, no one's around, or like, you know, oh, we realized like an hour into the stream, Chef is the only one here all day. So this has been super helpful, where it's very subtle, like basically we use Discord's reaction tool to have everyone easily add on to, it'll say daily mod check-in 2-3 for today's date. And then underneath, you either respond with a green, like a green symbol, a yellow, or a red symbol. So there's only 3 symbols, and it's easy to see at a glance, like, who's going to be around. And like Wes said, long term, we can also figure out, okay, like, Chef has been here every day, like on green, like he needs to take a break and maybe we need more mods. And, this person hasn't been around in a few weeks. So maybe we need to talk to them. It's been really, really, really helpful to figure out availability rather than trying to do it on the fly in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Or when you need it most, because that's when it comes up, right? You notice that you need mods when there's only one of them, and he's like, I can't do it all.
In stark contrast, suddenly you're like, oh God, I'm all alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But more broadly, we use Discord. We have a mod section in the Discord. So we have, Hunter and I were talking about this during the pre-show. We have like an important channel, which is only for things that the streamer needs to see. It's a very need to post, very, just doesn't change very often, doesn't get spammed away by conversation. Then we'll have 2 different channels for the mods to talk. And this is something that we also started recently where we divided mod chat and a chit chat channel. So now we have a channel that's just for, hey, what's up? How you doing? Kind of getting into off-topic conversations. And then a mod chat that's more about like, handling bans or running giveaways and having the, specific mod focused discussions. And that's really helped to clean up a lot and improve communication between the mods and between the streamer and the mods.
Yeah, sometimes if you have basically just a group chat going on, important things can get lost when you're, memeing away. So having a separate channel to kind of keep it focused just on channel actions and things like that is really helpful.
Which is exactly a note I made based on y'all's commentary during the pre-show, because I have one that's the same thing, Loka, that you were describing, which is actions that are specific to me in the moment on stream. I need to know that, my mic has, gotten really quiet and nobody's mentioned it, right? So they're going to say something about that. If it doesn't need to be mentioned in chat, that's the place to do it. And then one channel for mods. And if it's, if there's a lot of really important stuff, that can disappear with their garbage memes in 8 seconds flash, and then it's gone, and nobody even knows if they weren't there in that moment. Right. Nobody knows that they missed that really important point or the conversation. That's really interesting.
For what it's worth, mods have the best memes, and that was really rude, Hunter.
No, they're garbage, but they're way better than all the other ones. Okay. I completely agree.
But yeah, even like for mods who maybe miss most of the day and they want to quickly catch up on important conversations, there's not as much to sift through now when you have like a mod focus channel and then just like the banter channel.
Yeah.
And I think communication between the mods is super important. Like if you're a streamer and you have a mod, like you should have a Discord or some communication tool outside of Twitch, because let's be honest, the Twitch whisper system is actual garbage. And having like something that's more concrete as like a free Discord server for your mods can be super, super, super helpful for communication.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's an absolute must.
Is there anything else that we've missed that y'all are familiar with that mods use in terms of tools, communication platforms, or other sub-qualities of those communication platforms, like what we were talking about with having the multiple channels for different specific purposes, which had never occurred to me. I was just frustrated at all the memes that would gobble it up. I never thought about a solution to that. Y'all are coming in with these ideas. I'm like, oh yeah, that's really good. Is there anything that we missed with that?
Yeah, so one of the ones that I've used is keeping like a separate channel of just mod actions. So basically, if someone gets banned, we'll copy and paste their message and put it in a channel. Because Twitch now has the ability to let you see a viewer's chat history, but you can't search it. So in Discord, you can still search. So if someone comes in and has a modified screen name or something, you can go in Discord and search for that. So it's nice that it has the searchability in Discord.
Yeah, I think a lot of mods use Chatty too. Tally is saying that also
Chatty.
just keeps full logs of chat rooms.
Chatty is fantastic. I love Chatty. I mean, I've got Chatty up right now for this chat, and I absolutely suggest it, even if most of the time I still end up just talking in Twitch chat because it's just what I'm used to, I guess. But keeping Chatty open will help you keep logs. which is a fantastic feature. Also lets you just like jump. If you are one of those people who mods for multiple streams, you can jump between them a lot quicker because it doesn't have to load video. So you can just like, boop, pop over to this channel real quick, make sure things are okay.
Interesting.
And then, I mean, we absolutely use outside tools like ClickUp or Trello on most mod teams that I'm on. And everything Google Drive. Every single thing Google Drive.
Yes.
Put everything in Google Drive. Use Google Drive. It's just an absolutely fantastic tool. We use the calendar infrequently, but we have massive folders with tons of resources for moderators in there. So that's huge. And then, like I said, I love things like Trello, just like an organizational tool to help with more of the like week by week, and it helps you get a better, bigger picture. Because you can kind of just go to the Trello and be like, oh yeah, these are the projects that the stream is working on, rather than go into the Discord, which is like, well, this is the crap that happened in chat today.
Yeah. Yes.
You can just get a better idea. And especially like if you have time, you can just be like, oh, you know what? I've got time to Photoshop some stuff today. Let me go over to the Trello and see what we're working on and see if I can help with something.
Yeah. So we started using Trello a few months ago to try to, we basically had this big improvement in communication between me and the mods where we started doing weekly mod meetings and organizing the Google Drive folder and then doing a Trello. And a Trello basically, for those that don't know, is basically like a slightly enhanced like sticky note type system. It's totally free, so you should check it out, Trello.com. I don't think it's like something you need to have as a streamer. It's not like the must-have tool, but if you do a lot of projects and you have a lot of things moving in your channel, it can be really, really helpful for you and your mod team to have that to kind of, even for you personally, to keep track of like bigger picture things.
That's something that you do.
I have my own Trello, right? Just to keep track of all the things. And you've
talked about how valuable that is.
Yeah, for sure. So like, let's say you're planning an event for a game launch that's coming 3 months down the road. You can start planning out ideas for that and getting your mods aboard and making teams for your mods to see like who wants to help with what, and planning just fun community events, or let's say new merch, you know, just things like that. It can be really helpful to try to organize all of your ideas and keep your mods clued in as well.
Yeah, using that and then using, you know, like you said, Google Drive, Google Docs it's nice because you can have that separation where, like you said, you can kind of go to it whenever you're working on a project and you're not going to get lost in, you know, your Discord chats and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a really good way to, the way I think of it is, it's a really good way to keep workflow going without having to have a specific conversation about it, you know, on a specific date. You always have a place to go where you can see like, oh, we're working on these projects and, oh, okay, I can help with this part right here. And then, you know, when you do that, everybody else gets updated and they see that you've jumped on the card and that you've made changes or something. So I just think it's I wouldn't say a must have, but it's a great tool to use, even if you use it infrequently.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so I kind of mentioned this for a second, but I did want to talk about it. Hunter, do you do mod meetings? Do you meet regularly with your mods?
There are regular mod meetings.
Sorry, I didn't mean to like phrase it that way.
I personally do not meet with my mods. No. What I do is so
mod meetings happen.
Mod meetings do happen. So there's a hierarchy within my moddom where we have all the mods, and then we have a mod manager who's like a super mod. And then above that is the stream manager / COO, which is now your boy who's in chat. And then there's me. I'm clueless at the top of that pyramid, like with my head above the clouds. And then there's like everything that's happening below that. When I initially, and this is tied into something we talked about toward the very beginning with the documentation. When I started streaming, before I started streaming, I crafted a really bad one, a document that was intended to identify and sort of really, no, I think identify just nails it. to identify what it is that I expected from the mods, what I thought the culture of the stream should be, and the rules. And I think where I really messed it up at the beginning, and this is like the from my experience pro tip, I was hyper specific about the rules. And I was like, in exactly this circumstance, do this, don't do this. In exactly this circumstance, make sure that you do that. And it was like a 20-page document that nobody would ever want to read. And then you'd have to like, if something was happening in chat, you'd have to go reference the document while it's still happening in chat and go like, is this a bannable one? Okay, this one's just a purge one, not a timeout. And it was this whole mess. Over time, and in conjunction with the mods themselves, we collectively have reshaped that document. And that is something that's still a living document. So when there are mod meetings, there are things that sort of come down from me and trickle down into the mod meeting, and things that come from the mods that trickle up to me. And then like in between, we're sort of forging and reforging this documentation. I personally would love to and ought to be a more active part of the mod meetings themselves. It's something that I'm not currently, I haven't been doing for quite a while.
Yeah,
they happen.
I think
Check.
I think it is really important to have regular mod meetings, even if it's not weekly, even just once a month to touch base with your mods, because there's so much that happens, especially if you're streaming like every single day. If you have more nuanced rules like I do, it's so easy for things that happen where you want something done a certain way and your mods, like you want that to change, or the mods are confused about something. You know, there needs to be some clarification, or even just to like, honestly, it's like to get to know your mods and just be like, hey, like, how are you guys doing? Like, hey, you're humans helping me out. Like, I should talk to you. Like, it's really like mod meetings is something we've started in the past few months, and it's really helped to improve communication and make sure there's no confusion or even resentment getting built up between either side, where there's just, you know, things aren't being done a certain way, and then it just builds up because you guys don't actually spend the time to talk it out. Because after a stream, I don't know about you, Hunter, but I leave my computer the second I'm done my stream and I go eat and
done.
I go and lay down and like die for a few hours. So like I don't read mod chat after my stream, and that's usually when, you know, they're like they want to clear things up. And then in the mornings I'm getting up and doing things and doing errands, and then I start the stream, and all of a sudden I have not spent any time actually talking to the mods about important things.
The rest of my day is full of stuff, as is theirs, I'm sure, right?
Right. So setting aside a time at least once a month to actually be like, you know, sit down with the mods and talk is really, really, really healthy. And I also think it's just good for the mods themselves they're a team, right? Like you want to make sure they get along and get to know each other. So it's honestly like, even if I'm not there for the meeting sometimes, they still know if they can make it, they should meet at this time. And it just helps to get them to just chat and hang out and even talk about like, you know, how they feel about the stream and stuff like that, and just get to know each other a little bit more.
And if a mod can't make it, if you record the mod stream, the mod meeting, if you record if somebody records the mod meeting, that's an ability to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
And like maybe big notes, like this is there were 3 important things we touched on, something like that.
We do notes and we throw them on our Trello.
That's interesting.
For every week. And that way, if you miss a week, you just pop on the Trello, go to last Sunday's date, and boom, you got the notes right there for you. Which is super helpful, just because I don't expect half the time we end up just like Loco said, it's like about team building too. So half the time we end up just talking about what video games we're playing or what we're going to do that weekend or whatever. So, you know, I don't want someone to necessarily sit through, 80 minutes where 70 of us is just talking crap. But the meeting notes are super helpful just to like bullet point those like 5 things. Like, yes, we clarified this rule. We are working on this, this, and this, and be prepared to do this. Just simple stuff like that I find very helpful.
Yeah, and just kind of to your point about the team building aspect, if you have that separate Discord channel where people can just kind of, meme away whenever.
Yes, Johnny.
Between, just because, if you have it once a week and you want to do something, during the rest of the day, they'll talk to each other and all that stuff.
Yeah. We actually have a question from Clubhouse who asks, do you guys do mod nights where you guys just hang out with your mods and play games or just hang out? I will say that my mods have usually drunken nights where I come back and the Discord has like channels changed and there's pictures in mod chat that cannot be unseen. You know,
Wes, what have you done?
Sometimes I'll pop in there to hang out and they're giving Robin alcohol, which I don't even know if he's old enough to drink, so I don't know what's happening. They're drunk in Sea of Thieves. So the mods have actually like taken it upon themselves to just like hang out and get drunk together. So I'm like, all right, whatever.
Wow. I'm so into that.
I mean, yeah, that's basically it. We hang out. It's not like a dictated like, oh hey, we're doing this, or Loco's like, hey guys, it's a mod night tonight.
You will play games.
You will like it.
It'll just be like, you know, Carly pinging me in chat and just being like, getting voice chat, and then all of a sudden there's like 8 of us in there and we're all drinking and it's a good time. I think stuff like that, I would never say force that on any team. Like, it's a very unnatural thing to try and force. But if you can have a team that hangs out like that, it solves so many problems within the mod. Just by being close friends with a lot of these people, you get to the point where you're like, look, we may disagree about that ban right there, but I know your heart's in the right place. We can ask Loco about it on Sunday, but I'm not going to get into an argument because it's not worth it, and we're good friends. Like, I think it really does make a huge difference for the mod, and like covering for people too. Like, you're more willing to jump in and help out a friend if they're your friend, you know, just when there's, you know, shortage of mods or someone has to take off for a family emergency or something. You're more likely to jump in and be like, hey, you know what? I got your back, because we're tight like that. So not something you can really force, but if it does happen, and if you as a streamer want to start like a mod night, like mods generally love hanging out with their streamer. It's the reason they found their channel in the first place. So if you're up for that, go for it, because I'm almost sure that 99% of mods who mod for a streamer they love would love to play games. So great team building, and that team building carries over to actual functionality on the mod team.
Yeah, and kind of just to touch on the whole roles thing, which your show's about tomorrow, but if people have different roles in the mod team and they have these community nights, they can kind of come out of their shell more. The quieter lurker banhammer type might be more inclined to talk and be more comfortable in chat later on too.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a good point.
So we're getting close to being out of time, and if you guys have any questions that we didn't get to, I definitely encourage you to check out the show tomorrow at 4:45 p.m. Eastern. That is literally a weekly show about moderation. So if you like this kind of stuff and you want to know more,
so good.
Wes and Adorkable are going to dive into really, really extensive topics over the next couple of weeks. So definitely make sure you come back to that show tomorrow.
And this is a value as a streamer, as a mod, and as somebody who is even considering hypothetically 2 years down the road of maybe modding for somebody.
Yeah.
Top to bottom.
For sure. But I do want to get to at least one more question before we leave you with your brand, your business, which starts right after the show ends in about 10 minutes. So don't go anywhere. It's about finances, which is very important because tax season is coming.
It's coming.
Dum, dum, dum. But we've got a cool question from Tally that I want to ask you guys. How do you deal with streamers that refuse to take advice about the chat room from their mods? That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think kind of to the previous point about, these team building type exercises, if you're kind of in the environment where the streamer's not listening to their mods, it's probably not going to be a very, very lighthearted team building kind of environment. And so I don't know that streamers might stay around as long. because again, kind of even early on, we were talking about it. It can feel like a job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're
Yeah.
not really vibing with the streamer and the other mods, and it's kind of just feels like work, you might not stay around very long. So I think that's definitely something you want to try and work on if that's happening.
Yeah, I think if you, especially with your example of ban X troll, even if they've been here a long time, I think you need to as a mod consider whether what you think of as a good community lines up with what your streamer thinks of as a good community, and that can be a very tough thing to do. If you think that that person absolutely has to go and the streamer for whatever reason does not see a problem with that person, then you might have a completely different view and you might not be the right type of moderator for that streamer unless you want to adopt to how they act. So, I mean, it's a very fine line where you're like, oh, I have the stream's best interest at heart, but this person's a longtime viewer, so streamer won't get rid of them. Or at the same time, you're going, well, I don't agree with this, but the streamer's okay with it. So do I need to change or should I try and convince them? Generally, don't try and convince your streamer to change their stream. It's probably not going to work out for you very well. But I guess in my situation, I have brought things up to streamers that I find problematic or that I think they should not be doing or a viewer should not be doing or we should not be allowing in chat. And if after that conversation with the streamer, if me and the streamer still disagree, I've got to make a decision or they do.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think it
doesn't
has to be addressed.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I can't mod anymore. But sometimes it is like that. Sometimes you might say, well, you know what? If you're okay with that viewer bullying that other viewer, this ain't the place for me.
Yeah.
And
you my sword, chief.
You're right, exactly. Take my sword. I cannot do this job. And you may have to make that decision, but I think it's definitely something that you have to address, and you have to feel with your gut a lot of times why the streamer ends up making the decision that they do.
Yeah, I will say that it is important for the moderator team and the streamer to have communication in a way that you as a mod should feel you can talk to them about things, about situations, about problematic viewers, without fear of getting your head bitten off or something like that.
Yeah.
That being said, at the end of the day, it is the streamer's channel. They will make the final decision on how they want things to be run. You may not see eye to eye, and like Wes said, you can choose to either you deal with it, and that happens. Like that'll happen. We have different viewpoints all the time with how long people should be banned for, or what kind of messages are okay and what's not. And yeah, at the end of the day, like you can, if you're not comfortable with that's not the right fit for you, then you should maybe step down, or if you can deal with it, deal with it. But I think like it goes both ways. Like the mod should be able to go to the streamer with reasonable things. Like don't start like nitpicking every aspect of their channel and try to like take over the decision-making process of their entire stream. But you should be able to go to them to, bounce things off of, and then the streamer has the final say at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think that open communication is really important, and a lot of the stuff we've talked about has been like that, mod nights and Discord channels and just different ways to communicate with your mods and streamers back and forth. I think that really helps address a lot of these issues that can come up.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that is going to do it for us today, guys. Like I said, Your Brand, Your Business starts right after this, so stay tuned. They are going to be talking about your Q1 finance checkup, and that includes talking about saving money, paying taxes, and other important financial decisions. They are literally experts in this area. They do this as their job, so you should listen to them because they're smart people. That starts in about 3 minutes. But before we go, I want to do some shout outs. Johnny, Wes, thank you guys so much for joining us. If you guys can let us know where we can find you, and shout yourself out. I was gonna say what you're streaming. I guess if you stream, you should shout that out too.
You can go ahead, John.
Yeah, I don't stream, but I'm still Johnny everywhere, Twitch, Twitter. So feel free to follow me.
Yeah, I'm WesCisa. I am same name on Twitch and Twitter. I don't really stream except for here, the show that's starting tomorrow at 4:45 p.m. EST. That is really the only place you can find me online live, but you're more than welcome to follow my Twitter.
Awesome. Hunter, what about you?
I co-own Streamer Square with Loco and show up here every Monday for this particular show. Always so excited and happy and blessed by so many fantastic guests like Wes and Johnny. Thank you both for joining us today. It's so good and healthy, and I want to have y'all back on again for more of this. But fortunately, we do have a show that actually tackles all the mod stuff. That one's starting tomorrow. This is really excited to get more out of this. You can find me at twitch.tv/thehunterwild for my own streams, where currently I am going through Doom 2016. It's one of my favorite scores of all time from any video game. It's so fantastic, but it's a conversationally centric stream. In fact, we had like 3 hours of chat today, and I think like 20 minutes of gameplay.
Yeah, pretty much how mine went today. So,
what about you,
right.
Loco?
You can find me at twitch.tv/LOWCO. I do kind of what Hunter does. I talk a lot. We talked about all the Super Bowl. We watched all the Super Bowl ads today. And we also talk about streaming related topics. So this is what we do in Streamer Square, but I also carry that a little bit into my stream as well. And I also play games. I am currently on the Bloodborne struggle bus. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know how that's going, but it's a thing that's happening right now. So anyways, yeah, you can catch me over there and on the Twitter sphere and pretty much everywhere. And here, doing the stream scene. So if you guys want to come back, we do this every single Monday. We have now 5 shows regularly here on the channel, so you should definitely give it a follow. Yeah. So if you guys enjoy streaming related content, you should definitely give us a follow. You can find us on Streamer Square everywhere on YouTube for past VODs, and we're on Twitter sharing some awesome streaming advice as well. So check us out. With that, I'm going to give you guys the teaser for the new show that starts tomorrow that is specifically about moderation. And after that, I will leave you guys in the hands of Galen and Ernest talking about finances for Q1 2020, which is happening right now, if you didn't know that. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Hi, I'm Wes.
And I'm Rini.
And we're hanging up our mod swords for an hour each week for a new show right here on Streamer Square called Behind the Streams.
We'll be giving you hands-on and in-depth looks at all things moderations, bots, alerts, and graphics,
as well as important issues like dealing with harassment, mental health, and community engagement. So tune in 4:45 p.m. EST this Tuesday and every Tuesday after for Behind the Streams.
We'll help you build the structures for an amazing stream, whether you're a streamer, a mod, or still figuring it out.
We hope to see you then.